Hi everyone, welcome back. My name is Hang Ding. I am an associate professor of computer science and informatics at IU South Bend, and I'm teaching computer programming 1 online at IU South Bend. This video covers the first part of my lectures about control structures in Java. In the first part of control structures in Java, I will cover three sections, including overview of control structures, if and if-else selection statements, and conditional operator. There will be 7 more sections, which will be covered in the subsequent parts of control structures in Java. Let's start with an overview of control structures. All programs in any programming language can be written in terms of only 3 control structures: sequence structure, selection structure, and repetition structure. For portion of program written in sequence structure, it will execute statements one after the other in the order in which they are written. When executing a selection structure, the program will select which statement to execute next based on the value of a condition. When executing a repetition structure, the program will execute statements or the loop body repeatedly, while the loop continuation condition remains true. The loop continuation condition is the condition for the loop to continue. Java supports the selection structure with 3 types of statements. The first and most simple one is the if statement, which is known as single selection statement. The if statement performs an action if the condition is true, skip it if the condition is false. So it selects or ignores a single action or group of actions. The second type of selection statement is the if-else statement, which is also known as the double selection statement. The if-else statement performs an action if a condition is true and performs a different action if the condition is false. So it selects between 2 different actions or groups of actions. The last type of selection statement is the switch statement, which is known as multiple selection statement. The switch statement performs one of several actions based on the value of an expression. It selects among many different actions or groups of actions. There are also 3 types of repetition statements in Java. The first 2 types are the while statement and the for statement. Both of them perform the actions in their bodies 0 or more times. If the loop continuation condition is initially false, then the loop body will not execute. The third type of repetition structure is the do-while statement, which performs the actions in its bodies 1 or more times. So the body in a do-while statement is always executed at least once, while the body of a while statement or a for statement may not be executed at all. The words that indicate the selection and repetition structures in Java are keywords. So those are if, else, switch, while, do, and for. In section 2 of this video, we will cover the if statement and the if-else statement. An if statement always begins with the keyword if, followed by a condition in parentheses, and then the body statement, which is the statement that will be executed when the condition is true. For example, in this if statement, the condition is the comparison student grade larger than or equal to 60, where student grade is a variable. And the body statement is to print out the string passed. Remember that the parentheses around the condition of an if statement are required. The indentation of the body statement is not required, but it improves the program's readability by emphasizing that statements are part of the body. The statement written after the body statement is not a part of the if statement. It is the next statement that will be executed after the if statement is executed. That means that it will be executed regardless of the value of the condition in the preceding if statement, as shown in this flowchart. The portion within the dotted rectangle in this flowchart describes the flow of control of the if statement in the example. An if-else statement is an if statement followed by an else part. So this is the formal syntax of an if-else statement. So it also starts with the keyword if followed by a condition in parentheses, and then the body statement, which is a yes statement in this case, and then followed by the else keyword, and then the no statement. Right? So the yes statement is the statement that will be executed when the condition is true, and the no statement, which is after the else keyword, is the statement that will be executed when the condition is false. And so the flow chart in this box, in this dotted rectangle, is the uh, the flow of control for this if-else statement syntax. And the next statement, which is written after the if-else statement, will be executed after the yes statement and after the no statement. Also, as a good programming practice, you should indent the body of the uh, the if else statement. So there are two body statement here. One is the yes statement and one is the no statement. The yes statement and the no statement should have the same level of indentation. And you should also write the if keyword and the else keyword align with each other like this one to make it easy to read. Here is an example of an if-else statement. In this example, the condition is a student grade larger than or equal to 60, where student grade is a variable. And the yes statement is system.out.println pass, which is to print out the string pass. And the no statement is to print out the string failed. So when this if else statement executes, it will check if the condition students grade larger than or equal to 60 is true or not. If it's true, then it will print out the string pass. Otherwise, then it will print out the string failed. Note that the body of the else statement is also indented. As a good programming practice, if there are several levels of indentation, each level should be indented the same additional amount of space. So for example, here the body of the if part and the body of the else part should have the same level of indentation. So they should have the same amount of spaces before them. Note that the body statement of the if and the else parts can be any valid statement. The if-else statement is also a valid statement, so you can place it inside other if-else statements to create nested if-else statements. This is an example of nested if-else statements that convert the numeric grade of a student into letter grade. The numeric grade of a student is stored in the variable grade. This example has four if-else statements, where one statement is nested in the else part of an outer one. Of course, except for the first if-else statement. The conditions of this if-else statement corresponds to the four breakpoints of the numeric grade. So those are 90, 80, 70, and 60. The first and outermost if-else statement in this example has the condition grade larger than 90 and it prints out letter A if that condition is true. The body statement of the else part of the first if-else statement is the second if-else statement, which is in this red box. So the second if-else statement executes only when the condition of the first if-else statement is false, that is, when grade is less than 90. The condition of the second if-else statement is grade larger than or equal to 80. And its yes statement is to print out the letter grade B. So letter B is printed out only when grade is less than 90 and larger than or equal to 80. The third if-else statement, which is in this blue box, is nested in the else part of the second if-else statement. So the code in this blue box executes only when the condition of the first two if-else statements are false. That is, when grade is less than 90 and grade is less than 80, which is equivalent to grade is less than 80. The condition of the third if-else statement is grade larger than or equal to 70, and its yes statement is to print out letter C. So letter C is printed out only when grade is larger than or equal to 70 and less than 80. The fourth and also the innermost if-else statement is nested in the body statement of the third if-else statement. It executes only when the conditions of all three outer if-else statements are false, which is equivalent to grade less than 70. The condition of this innermost if-else statement is grade larger than or equal to 60, and its yes statement is to print out letter D. So letter D is printed out only when a grade is less than 70 and larger than or equal to 60. The else part prints out letter F, so letter F is printed out only when grade is less than 60. Note that when grade is larger than 90, all of the four conditions will be true, but only the body of the if part of the first uh, the first if else statement will execute. After that, the else part of the outermost if else statement is skipped. The preceding nested if else statements can be written in the following form, in which the if keyword and the condition of the inner if else statement is placed in the same line as the else keyword of the immediately outer if else statement. In this form, all the body statement of the if pause have the same level of indentation. The two forms are identical except for the spacing and indentation, which the compilers ignores. But most Java programmers prefer this form because it doesn't have excessive indentations. Whatever form you use, you should ensure that you test for all possible cases when you write nested if-else statements. That's a tip to prevent logic errors when with the nested if-else statements. Note that in nested if-else statements, the inner if-else statement can be the body statement of the if part, not just the else part of an outer statement. This leads to a potential problem known as the dangling else problem. As the syntax rule, an else part always associates with the immediately preceding if unless specified otherwise by the placement of the braces. For example, consider the following nested if-else statements, which have two ifs and one else. The second if is nested inside the first if. The first if condition is x larger than 5, and the second if condition is y larger than 5. When we write the else line up with the first if like this, we may think that this else associates with the first if, but that's not the case. Beware that the compiler actually interprets the code above as the following nested if-else statements, with the else lining up with the second if, uh, because that's the immediately preceding if of this else. So the body statement of this else, which is to print out x is less than or equal to 5, executes only when x is larger than 5 and y is less than or equal to 5, instead of when x is larger than 5 alone. To force the nested if-else statements in the previous example to execute as they were originally intended, we must write it as follows, where we simply put braces around the inner if, separating the inner if and the else. The braces indicate that the second if is in the body of the first. So, and so the else associates with the if, the first if instead of the second if. When we add braces around a statement or a set of statements, we create a block. The if statement normally expects only one statement in its body. To include several statements in the body of an if or an else part, enclose the statements in the braces, in a pair of braces. For example, the body statement of the else part in this if-else statement is a block, which consists of two statements. The first one is to print out the text field, And the second one is to increase the variable failed causes by 1. So when the condition in the if part is false, that is when grade is less than 60, then both of these statements in the block will execute. In general, a block can be placed anywhere that a single statement can be placed. For example, the body statement of an if or an else or a loop, etc. Just as a block can be placed anywhere a single statement can be placed, it's also possible to have an empty statement, which is represented by placing a semicolon where a statement would normally be. One common programming error from unintended empty statements is when you place a semicolon after the condition in an if statement. This leads to a logic error. For example, consider the if statement in this program, where we write the if statement with the condition x is different from 0 or x is not equal to 0, followed by the assignment y equal to 9 over x, which we intend to be the body of the if statement. Before the if statement, a variable x and y have been declared and initialized, and we read the value uh, for x from the keyboard. The statement after the if statement is supposed to be to print out the variable y. But in this if statement, we unknowingly placed a semicolon after the condition. This makes the body statement of the if statement to be an empty statement instead of this assignment statement. So the if statement ends right at this semicolon. As a result, the assignment statement always executes, even when the user enter 0 for x, and in that case, it leads to y having the infinity value instead of the value -1. Placing a semicolon after the condition in an if-else statement leads to a syntax error when there's a non-empty statement between if and else. For example, suppose we add the else part to match the if in the previous program. When writing this if-else statement, we intended to assign y to 9 over x if x is not equal to 0, and assign y to 9 over x plus 1 if x is equal to 0. Okay. However, here we also unknowingly place a semicolon after the condition, which marks the end of the if statement. So this else doesn't associate with any if, which is a syntax error. Now it's your turn to practice with if-else statements. For this practice, I'd like you to translate this flowchart into Java statements. You don't have to write a complete Java program, just a code fragment that implements this flowchart fragment. You can assume that variable score and percent have been declared and initialized. So you don't have to write code for that part. The last section of this video is about the conditional operator. The conditional operator can be used in place of an if-else statement to make your code shorter and cleaner. So it's essentially the shorthand if-else operator. For example, suppose you want to calculate the maximal value between two variables A and B and assign that value to the variable max. So you can write this if-else statement where the condition is A larger than B, and if that is true, then you assign max equal to A, else you assign max equal to B. So this if-else statement does the work, okay? But you can rewrite it as a single assignment statement using the conditional operator like this. So here in this assignment statement, you have variable max on the left-hand side of the assignment operator, and on the right-hand side, you use the conditional operator, which is indicated by the question mark and a colon. Before the question mark, you need to put the condition that could be tested. And after the question mark, you put the expression that uh, would be returned if the condition before the question mark is true. And then you put the semicolon, and then after the semicolon, you put the expression that could be returned if the condition before the question mark is false. Right? So this assignment statement is equivalent to this if-else statement, but it's shorter. The conditional operator is a ternary operator, meaning it takes three operands. The first operand, which is to the left of the question mark, is a Boolean expression, which evaluates to a Boolean value, true or false. The second operand, which is between the question mark and the colon, is the value if that could be returned if the Boolean expression is true. And the third operand, which is to the right of the colon, is the value to be returned if the Boolean expression evaluates to false. The operands and the question mark and the colon form a conditional expression. For example, the right-hand side of this assignment statement is a conditional expression which evaluates to value of variable A if the Boolean expression A larger than B is true, and to the value of variable B if this Boolean expression is false. Here is another practice with the conditional operator. For this practice, I give you this if-else statement, which prints out pass if score is larger than or equal to 60. Otherwise, print out false. So I like you to rewrite this if-else statement as a single statement with the conditional operator. I have the solution here, so you can see it afterward. So here is the solution to this practice. And so here we use the conditional operator. And we know that the condition to be tested here is a score larger than or equal to 60. So to form the conditional expression, we need to identify the Boolean expression first, and it is the same as the Boolean expression in the if-else statement. And then you want to specify what value you should get from that conditional expression. When this condition is true, and that should be yeah, the string pass. And then the other string, when the condition is false, is failed. And so this is the string that will be returned depending on the condition, score larger than or equal to 60 or not. And so we just put that uh, value into the argument of the println statement. So then it will print out whatever the string that is returned depending on score larger than or equal to 60 or not. All right, that's the end of my video for the first part of control structures in Java. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again next time.